Welcome to today's custom-tailored deep dive.
Yeah.
Um, what if I told you that the absolute most important food for your health, like the stuff that really matters, has 0 calories?
Right, and you couldn't even buy in a grocery store if you tried. It's such a wild thought.
It really is. I mean, we spend so much time, obsessing over macros and tracking every single calorie.
Absolutely. Arguing about which diet is the absolute best.
Exactly. But today, we are completely flipping the script. We are looking at a comprehensive guide by Sheila Arnold called My Journey from an Integrative Nutrition Health Coach student to a certified Integrative Nutrition Health Coach.
Which is just a fantastic source. And our mission today is really to cut through all that overwhelming noise of modern diet culture.
Yeah, we're going to unpack this concept of bio-individuality, uncover some pretty clever grocery store hacks, and honestly, look at some shocking truths about traditional fats.
Yes, even lard, which I know is going to blow some minds.
Seriously, it might completely change how you stock your kitchen. But before we even look at a grocery list, we really have to redefine what the word nutrition actually means according to this text.
Right, because it challenges the whole foundation of how we view wellness. We are so conditioned to see health as this strict math equation.
Like calories in, calories out, right?
Exactly, gram for gram. But this guide introduces this paradox where, someone can eat a pristine, mathematically perfect diet and still be just chronically exhausted and unwell.
Okay, let's unpack this because the source demands that we split our intake into primary versus secondary foods. And I have to be honest, I was a little skeptical at first.
Oh, totally understandable. It sounds a bit out there initially.
Right. I mean, the secondary food makes total sense. That's the physical stuff we chew and swallow. The kale, the chicken, the almonds.
It's the stuff on the plate.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But the text argues that primary food is like the operating system of our lives. It uses this tool called the circle of life.
What's fascinating here is how it maps out 12 specific areas of our lives.
Yeah, things like creativity, finances, career, education, health, physical activity, home cooking, environment, relationships, social life, joy, and spirituality.
It's a huge list.
And the claim is that these 12 things are literally nutrition. But, I mean, come on, how does my bank account or, like, a really toxic boss actually affect my physical, biological state?
Well, calling stress bad is one thing, right?
Yeah.
But calling a fulfilling career nutrition feels like a stretch until you look at the biology.
Right, the actual mechanisms at play.
Exactly. Let's look at the nervous system. When you are in a chronically stressful situation, say you're severely stressed about money or trapped in a bad relationship.
Your body registers that as a physical threat.
Yes. It triggers the sympathetic nervous system. It locks you into that state of fight or flight.
So your cortisol just spikes
Yeah.
and your adrenaline is pumping constantly.
Right. And when that happens, your brain basically treats your body like a city under lockdown.
Wow, under lockdown.
Yeah, it diverts all available resources to the perimeter. So your muscles, your heart, your lungs, just so you can physically fight or run away.
Which means it has to shut down other things.
Precisely. It actively shuts down domestic services. It suppresses the immune system, halts cellular repair, and drastically reduces digestive function.
Wait, really? Like stomach acid drops?
Stomach acid plummets. And peristalsis, those muscle contractions that move food through your gut, it just slows to a crawl.
So if I'm terrified about paying rent, it literally does not matter if I'm chewing on the most nutrient-dense organic spinach salad on the planet.
Not at all. Your body is physiologically incapable of properly absorbing those nutrients. Your gut is effectively closed for business.
That is wild.
Yeah.
And that completely changes how you'd even approach an intervention.
Exactly. You go to a traditional practitioner with chronic fatigue or gut issues, they hand you an elimination diet.
Right. Cut out gluten, cut out dairy.
But this text suggests the diet you need isn't about food at all. It points to the 50-30-20 rule for finances.
Okay, remind me of that one.
It's allocating 50% of your income to necessities, 30 to wants, and 20 to savings. And the author includes this not as financial advice, but as actual health advice.
Because getting that financial stability lowers the chronic cortisol.
Yes, which physically allows your gut to start absorbing vitamins again.
It totally makes sense. It reframes everyday things, like keeping a clean home or, having houseplants to filter air toxins as direct biological investments.
They really are.
But, okay, let's say we do that hard work. We get our primary foods in check. Stress is managed, our gut is ready. We still have to navigate the physical world of secondary foods.
Which is no small feat in a modern grocery store.
No, getting quality fuel without going bankrupt is a minefield. But here's where it gets really interesting. The text relies heavily on the concepts of the dirty dozen and the clean 15.
Which is just a brilliant framework for the consumer.
I think anyone who follows nutrition has probably heard of the dirty dozen, the produce with the highest pesticide residue.
Right, your strawberries, spinach, kale, grapes.
But what I found so mind-blowing wasn't just the list, but the severity of what these chemicals actually do. The source notes that over 96% of conventional grapes test positive for pesticide residue.
96%. That is staggering.
And strawberries. They are actually banned in certain European countries because of the specific chemicals used on them, which are linked to reproductive damage.
And we really shouldn't gloss over how those chemicals interact with human biology.
Like, what are they actually doing once we eat them?
Well, many of these synthetic pesticides act as endocrine disruptors.
Endocrine disruptors, so they mess with our hormones.
Exactly. Once they enter your bloodstream, their molecular structure is so similar to your natural hormones, like estrogen or our thyroid hormones, that they can actually bind to your cell receptors.
Wow, so they just hijack the system.
They completely hijack your cellular communication, and that leads to metabolic issues, reproductive harm, chronic inflammation.
So if the stakes are really that high, I have to ask, why is it just a dirty dozen? Why isn't every single conventional fruit a massive hazard?
That really comes down to botany, the physical structure of the plant itself.
Oh, like how it grows.
Yeah, think about a strawberry or a spinach leaf. They are highly porous, and they grow right in or very close to the treated soil.
Right, a strawberry doesn't have a peel. Its flesh is just totally exposed.
Exactly. So when it's sprayed, it acts like a sponge. It draws those chemical compounds deep down into its cellular structure.
Which means you can't just wash that off.
You really can't. Which is why the text emphasizes that you should prioritize your organic budget specifically for those items.
But then you have the clean 15, which saves the day.
Yes. Things like avocados, sweet corn, pineapples, onions.
That's because of their architecture, right?
Exactly. Look at an avocado or a pineapple. They have these thick, impenetrable, fibrous rinds.
Nature's packaging.
Right. That natural defense mechanism effectively blocks the agricultural chemicals from ever reaching the part you actually eat.
Which is such a relief because, honestly, buying 100% organic is completely unrealistic for most of us. Yeah. It would break the budget.
Yeah. And tying it back to primary foods, blowing your budget on organic avocados would just cause financial stress.
Yes, which ruins your digestive absorption anyway.
Yeah.
So targeted spending is the way to go. But the text also drops this brilliant, super practical hack for the grocery store. PLU codes.
Ah, so helpful.
Instead of relying on all that confusing store signage, you just look at the sticker on the produce.
Strips away all the marketing nonsense.
Exactly. The source explains that organically grown items have a 5-digit code that starts with a 9.
And conventional produce.
Conventional has a 4-digit code starting with a 3 or a 4, so you never have to guess.
It gives you the raw data of how that food was actually cultivated. It's infallible.
Now, speaking of raw data, the source also includes this very specific guideline from the CDC on how to wash your produce once you actually get it home.
This is a crucial step that so many people get wrong.
They advise holding the fruit or vegetable under cold running water and drying it with a paper towel. But the crazy part is no soap or detergent.
None. Just cold water and physical friction.
Right, but why? I see produce washes sold everywhere.
It's a vital mechanical detail. The skin of most produce is semi-permeable, right?
Okay, yep.
So if you use dish soap or those special washes, the surfactants in the soap break the surface tension of the water.
And what does that do?
It can actually pull the chemical residues on the surface, along with the soap itself, deeper into the flesh of the vegetable.
Wait, really? So you're basically marinating your food in soap and chemicals?
Exactly. You are trying to minimize the chemical load on your liver, so introducing new synthetic detergents defeats the entire purpose.
Wow. Okay, so we're navigating the produce section, like pros, using our PLU codes. We are avoiding endocrine disruptors, and we are washing things correctly.
We're doing great so far.
But this brings us to the fats and oils aisle, and this is where the source material just completely shatters conventional dietary wisdom.
That's a paradigm shift, for sure.
Because, look, I was raised to believe that butter was a villain, and that cooking with animal fat was just a direct ticket to clogged arteries.
Most of us were taught that, yeah.
But the text points out that lard-like, actual pig fat, is a good source of fat that supports a healthy heart. And I really have to push back here.
Okay, let's hear it.
We have had decades of public health messaging telling us saturated animal fats cause heart attacks. How can this text possibly claim that lard is a health food?
It's a totally valid pushback, but it requires us to separate modern industrial food engineering from traditional human diets.
Okay, break that down for me.
We have to look at the actual lipid profile of lard. The text points out that lard is composed of 48% monounsaturated fat.
Wait, 48%. That's the exact same type of heart-healthy fat that everyone praises in olive oil.
Exactly. It's second only to olive oil in that specific monounsaturated profile.
I had no idea.
Traditional fats like lard, butterfat, and ghee have been consumed for thousands of years. They are structurally stable molecule.
And the text highlights ghee specifically.
Yes, ghee is anhydrous butterfat, meaning all the water and milk solids have been removed. It is incredibly rich in omega-3 fatty acids and something called conjugated linoleic acid.
Right, CLA. The text mentions CLA helps reduce gut inflammation, but I don't get how a fat can do that.
It's fascinating. CLA is a specialized fatty acid that physically interacts with the immune cells located right in the lining of your gut.
Oh, wow.
It helps modulate your immune response. It essentially downregulates the production of inflammatory cytokines. So it's actively soothing your intestinal lining.
That's incredible.
Plus, your body requires these traditional fats to even absorb fat-soluble vitamins like A, D, E, and K.
So you could eat a massive bowl of raw organic spinach.
And without a healthy fat to bind to those vitamins, your body can't utilize them at all.
Okay, so if traditional animal fats aren't the enemy, why on earth do we spend the last 50 years replacing them with all these vegetable oils?
Mostly economics and industrialization. The text draws a very sharp contrast with what it calls industrial fats.
You mean like canola oil, soybean oil, corn oil?
Exactly. These are liquid polyunsaturated fats.
And the source details the manufacturing process for these. And it honestly sounds like they are creating a synthetic industrial lubricant, not something you'd eat.
It's not a pretty process.
Because seeds don't naturally give up their oil easily, right? So manufacturers have to heat the seeds to extremely high temperatures just to extract it.
And that heat is the biological trigger for the damage. Polyunsaturated fats have multiple double bonds in their chemical structure, which makes them highly unstable.
So they can't handle the heat.
Right. When you expose them to high heat, those bonds break, and the oil oxidizes.
Which creates free radicals.
Exactly. But it gets worse. After the heat, according to the text, they use petroleum-based solvents to extract whatever oil is left.
Petroleum, like gasoline components.
Yes. And because the resulting liquid smells rancid from all that oxidation, they have to chemically deodorize it and bleach it.
Just so it looks appealing in a clear plastic bottle on the shelves.
Precisely. And when you consume those oxidized, highly processed seed oils, those free radicals enter your system and cause massive oxidative stress and systemic inflammation.
So the text is really advocating for a return to biological compatibility.
Yes. We evolved eating structurally stable fats from properly raised animals. We did not evolve to process oxidized seed oils extracted with petroleum.
Which perfectly segues into another historically demonized food, eggs.
Oh, the egg debate.
I feel like the narrative around eggs changes every 5 years, but the source is really unequivocal here. It acknowledges that eggs contain cholesterol, sure.
Right.
But it points out that the cholesterol naturally found in pastured whole eggs does not raise the quote-unquote bad LDL cholesterol in our blood the way trans fats and oxidized seed oils do.
The mechanism there is so fascinating. You know your liver produces cholesterol naturally, right?
Because we need it for building cells and hormones.
Exactly. It's essential. So when you consume dietary cholesterol from a whole, unoxidized source, like a pastured egg, your liver simply downregulates its own production.
It just balances it out.
It maintains homeostasis.
The text actually points out that eating pastured whole eggs can reduce those bad LDLs. And it says for most healthy people, up to 7 eggs a week is perfectly fine.
And highly beneficial.
Yeah, it mentions it can even prevent certain types of strokes and macular degeneration. And that's because of the specific nutrients in the yolk, right?
Yes, specifically lutein and zeaxanthin. Those are powerful antioxidants that physically accumulate in the retina of your eye.
Protecting it from oxidative stress and light damage.
Exactly. So again, when we look at the whole food matrix, the biological benefits just far outweigh those outdated fears.
Okay, so we're eating clean. We swapped our industrial seed oils for ghee and lard. We are managing our primary food stress. how do we actually measure the result?
That is the big question.
Because usually, the ultimate metric of health in our society is just a number on a scale.
Which is perhaps the most damaging metric of all. And the text tackles this by dismantling the myth of the ideal weight.
Yeah, the author, Sheila, breaks down this traditional, highly technical formula that doctors use to calculate a woman's ideal weight.
The math on this is just wild.
It really is. The formula is 100 pounds for the first 5 feet of height, plus 5 pounds for every additional inch.
So arbitrary.
Seriously. So by this metric, Sheila notes she is, quote-unquote, supposed to weigh 105 pounds. And she bluntly states that if she actually weighed 105 pounds, she would look physically sick.
It's an absurd mathematical formula. It completely ignores bone density, muscle mass, genetic predisposition.
It totally ignores bio-individuality.
It's the antithesis of it. You cannot force a biological organism into a rigid, one-size-fits-all mathematical equation.
So what does the text suggest instead?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, the text advocates for an intuitive approach to weight.
But what does intuitive weight actually mean in practice? It sounds a bit nebulous. Is it just throwing out the scale?
Essentially, yes. Your intuitive ideal weight is the natural set point your body simply settles into when your primary and secondary foods are in balance. It's the weight where your energy is highest, your hormones are stable, and you can maintain it without severe caloric restriction.
Because constantly starving yourself is stressful.
Exactly. Constantly striving for an arbitrary lower number creates psychological stress, which, as we discussed with the fight-or-flight response, spikes your cortisol.
And that actually signals your body to store fat, right?
Yes,
Right.
as a protective measure. So the pursuit of the ideal weight physically prevents you from achieving health.
It's wild how backwards we have it.
Mm-hmm.
But to support this intuitive set point, the text gets into the mechanics of how we actually process our nutrients.
This is a great section.
It makes a really vital distinction between juicing and smoothies. Now, we know the basic difference. Juicing removes fiber, blending keeps it. But the text focuses heavily on the speed of delivery.
It's a masterclass in applying bio-individuality to your daily routine. Let's look at the mechanism of juicing first.
Okay.
When you run vegetables through a juicer, you strip away that insoluble fiber matrix entirely.
Leaving just an intensely concentrated liquid of vitamins and minerals.
Exactly. And because there's no physical fiber for your digestive enzymes to break down, that liquid passes almost immediately through the stomach wall and right into the bloodstream.
It's like an IV drip of nutrients.
Right. It requires zero digestive effort, which is incredibly therapeutic if someone's gut is severely compromised or inflamed.
But there's a catch, right?
There is. That rapid absorption is a double-edged sword. If you juice fruits, that same speed applies to the fructose.
Oh, so you hit your bloodstream with a massive sugar spike.
Which triggers a huge insulin release leading to a crash. That's exactly why the text strictly advises a 3-to-1 ratio of vegetables to fruit when juicing.
To manage the glycemic load.
Exactly.
Now compare that to a smoothie. When you blend, you're pulverizing the ingredients, but that insoluble fiber is still entirely present.
And that changes the whole game inside your gut.
Because that insoluble fiber acts as a physical buffer.
Right, it does. It traps the natural sugars
Yeah.
and forces your digestive system to work mechanically and enzymatically to process it all.
Which drastically slows down how fast it leaves your stomach.
Exactly. So instead of a massive spike and crash, you get a slow, sustained, time-released flow of energy into your bloodstream.
Keeping your insulin stable and keeping you full for hours. So one isn't superior to the other.
Not at all. If you need immediate cellular replenishment without taxing your gut, you juice.
And if you need sustained energy and blood sugar regulation, you blend.
You just use the mechanical process that serves your biology in that specific moment. That is the essence of true integrative nutrition.
Having the knowledge to choose the right tool. I love that. So what does this all mean when we step back and look at it?
It really all distills down to her 90-10 rule.
Right. Sheila Arnold's overarching philosophy. It's about being diligent and eating clean, whole, unprocessed foods, preferably cooked at home 90% of the time.
But it's also about enjoying life, treating yourself 10% of the time without an ounce of guilt.
Because the guilt and the stress of trying to be 100% perfect will damage your biology more than the occasional indulgence.
It's a profoundly holistic view. We've talked so much today about the mechanisms of stress, digestion, and toxins. I think it's worth leaving you with a final thought that really connects everything.
I'm ready for it.
Modern science tells us that the bacteria in our gut, our microbiome, are responsible for producing many of our essential hormones, like serotonin.
It's a happy hormone.
Right. and they manage up to 80% of our immune system. We also know the gut and the brain are directly linked via the vagus nerve.
The gut-brain axis.
Exactly. So if our primary foods, our joy, our social connections, our spiritual fulfillment, directly dictate our nervous system's tone, it raises a fascinating biological question.
Okay.
Is it possible that a chronically stressed, lonely person eating a mathematically perfect 100% organic diet is actually physically less nourished than a blissfully happy, socially connected person eating a perfectly average conventional meal?
Wow. Because the happy person's gut is actually open and functioning, synthesizing whatever nutrients they eat.
While the stressed person's gut is on lockdown, wasting all that organic goodness,
It really forces you to look beyond the plate.
it asks you to audit your own life. Look at that circle of life. What primary food in your world is currently starving?
And how might that invisible hunger be manifesting in your physical body right now?
Exactly.
It's such a powerful shift in perspective. Because at the end of the day, no amount of organic kale can fix a starving spirit. And sometimes, the most critical nutrition you'll ever consume doesn't even come on a plate.